Hi guys, Super Cameraman here. 77 episode we watched for 3 months because the first part was published on August 11th. I'll tell you right away, these expectations were worth it because the 77th episode was the best in Skibidi Toilet and the ending was as promised to us, Dafuk Boom. We saw that crazy plot twist, but unfortunately we didn't see Titan TV Man's plan. So Dafuk Boom wrote under the description of his video, this Titan TV Man had a plan. But did he succeed? In addition to that, we saw the changed beginning and some additional scenes at the end. I also noticed some changes in the past parts, so please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It will give me more motivation to keep making videos for you. As it turns out, the cameraman base is in New Zealand. It's in another continent, next to Australia. Here you can see many guys from previous episodes like this big toilet from 76th episode or cameraman in blue tie from 75th episode. You can also find a reference to Ghost Rider. Next we meet a hybrid toilet Skibidi, who looked like this toilet woman, but this one is not her, as this toilet has one blue-colored eye and the other yellow. And as we remember, that woman's eyes were blue. She goes on to say that you didn't bother to save your comrades. Without our help, they would have died. And then she adds, so, brother, your base is our base, but I wouldn't trust that Skibidi Toilet 100%. After that, the frame switches and we hear the voice of TVMAN Titan, where he says,
"Stupid, why are we cooperating with this crap?
We're so desperate." Footage from Russia appears in front of us, specifically Khabarovsk, as we see both agents there and Skibidi Toilets in desperation. In the background, we hear the continuation of the dialogue between the Titan and the scientist, where the TV-man scientist responds, "It is necessary. If we are to survive, we must arrange a meeting with their lurking leader. He knows something that might help," most likely meaning Gman. Next, we are shown footage from Europe, specifically Amsterdam, which is the Netherlands. If you look closely, you will notice a secret agent on the top right corner. Titan continues his dialogue.
The only thing I will organize is his funeral. How can you trust him after the genocide of the Alliance?
To which the scientist replies, "You've seen for yourself what the Astro Toilets can do. Their weakest units, destroying entire legions. They destroy everything in their path. Do you think we have a choice?" Next, an Astro Toilet appears and destroys the only surviving cameraman in the place. The frame switches and we appear already in Asia, namely in Japan, where for the first time we notice cameraman Samurai and some speaker man. Most likely in this country it is an analog of Plunger Man and Speaker Man in Black. In this country these characters are as friendly as Plunger Man and Speaker Man in Black were. Next, TV Man Titan says,
"We will acquire larger samples by developing stronger improvements, like before."
To which the scientist replies, "It's not like before. Our advantage is that we are underground and secretive, but we have to be careful and slow. If they discover us, they will have access to our technology. It will be the end of our world." As it turns out, the TV Man base is underground, specifically in Alaska, USA. The Titan then replies that
"Our world is over. It belongs to them now."
Then we are shown Canada, where the Astro Toilets have taken over everything in their path. Then the frame changes, and we're shown the beginning of episode 77. At the base of the TV Man, there are some changes in the dialogue, but the essence does not change. As we can see, TV Man for some reason is constantly watching the cameramen, and all their actions are recorded on the base. Titan says,
"This is not enough. They have lost their leadership and are marching to their death. Are we just going to stay here and watch them die?"
Here Titan was referring to the cameraman squad that tried to attack the Astro Toilets without any plan. TV Man scientist then responds to the Titan, "In order to make progress, we need sacrifices. Before we fight, we need better samples for upgrades," to which TV Man Titan angrily replies,
"You're dumb. Staying here won't get us anything of value."
To which TV Man scientist says, "Speaker Man has been preparing his armada all this time. They can handle it. As soon as you go outside, the Astros will put their best fighters on you." As we already know, TV Man Titan didn't listen to the scientist and teleported to the battlefield, where it happened just like the scientist said. But the thing is that TV Man Titan didn't just teleport outside. Before he did that, Titan said his last phrase to the scientist's answer, namely, "This is the plan." It turns out the plan of the TV Man was to buy time for something or someone. After the dialogue with the scientist, the TV Man Titan says that,
"Today, everything will change."
Begins with a stunned big cameraman getting to his feet. It's likely that his squad was completely destroyed by the Astro Toilets. as he's been lying here for a long time. He actually survived due to the fact that he was underwater, so he was unseen and survived. Most likely this cameraman fell out after the helicopter cameraman crashed. This is the first time we noticed the water drop effect in the show. According to the gun, this agent looks like the big cameraman from the first part of episode 70, but it is not him, as he was destroyed by the scientist in the third part of the same episode. Then from underground, there is a cameraman scientist who controls a cameraman spider, and this is one of the leak shots that we've already dealt with on the channel. After that, the big cameraman comes closer and sees that there is nothing left of the city as the Astro Toilets continue to destroy everything in their path. And then we immediately notice the second leak, where the secret text was written. And here is one of the most mysterious scenes from episode 77. When cameraman turns his head, on the left side we could see the very computer chair, which is not the first time it appears on our screens. And it all started after the arrest of cameraman in red, and starting from episode 75, we noticed this chair many times. But this time, the chair disappeared. It felt like a portal with a white glow opened up on the right side, and that glow somehow attracted the chair to itself. But when the big cameraman flew to that place, he saw neither the chair nor the white glow. What do you think? What was it? Write in the comments. Then the cameraman heard coughing sounds, and as it turned out, there were live people here. One of them immediately approached the cameraman, seeing him as a protector, and said,
"Don't shoot, we're not enemy."
And added that she had seen him, the cameraman, helping people. And further she said,
"Can you get us to a safer place?"
The cameraman pointed in that direction, to which she replied,
"No, can't you see? The church is on fire."
Then one of the small Astro Toilets interfered in their dialogue and destroyed everything in its path. It manages to be eliminated, but a second Astro Toilet appears right after it. He tries to attack the cameraman, but he fails, as the agent has activated a protective field, and afterwards the cameraman kills the Astro Toilet. After the destruction, cameraman calls the survivors to him, but when he turns to them, he notices that people are no longer alive, as the first Astro Toilet destroyed all of them with his shots. After a brief pause, the agent in the distance notices some sort of movement. The silhouettes look like a hybrid toilet Skibidi. After the cameraman noticed him, he immediately went into a fighting stance and began to watch everything more closely. Next, an Astro Toilet appears on the right side, and as it turns out, it was the toilet whose silhouette we saw a few seconds ago. And it's the same Astro Toilet from the leak. We immediately notice his laser sword, as well as a huge cannon on his left arm, which can fire 4 shots at once. As we notice, now the big cameraman has not a big shield, which saves from some blows of Astro Toilet, and as soon as Astro wants to finish the cameraman, someone throws his sword on him. As it turns out, it is the same hybrid toilet from the G-Squad. He's been hinting for a while now that he'll be back. Next, using his saw, he cuts off the cannon from the Astro and shoots him with his cannon. And that's when the police hybrid toilet comes to the rescue, also from the G-Squad. He just one swing, chops into several pieces of the Astro Toilet, and then directs 4 missiles at him. And eventually that Astro Toilet was destroyed by this hybrid toilet. As you can see, this is the same Gman squad from episode 74, but there's a detail. Have you noticed they've changed a little bit? I mean their weapons. As we know, Skibidi Toilets have yellow as their race color, but for some reason their weapons were covered in orange, which is the color of the Astro Toilets. After flipping through the previous episodes, I realized something. Do you guys remember episode 75? The thing is, when this squad of agents and toilets destroyed the little Juggernaut, they took from it one of the generators that powered the Astro Toilet. And of course, this squad took that generator for a reason. As we already see in episode 77, the Skibidi Toilets now have fully improved weapons, all thanks to the power of the little Juggernaut. And then there's the immediate question about the Gman. As we remember, the last time we saw Gman very weak, also without a glowing core, but now it's clear where he'll get his energy to turn into a G-Titan. But still, it seems to me that this small generator is not enough to improve all the Skibidi Toilets. They will probably need even more energy to improve the toilets. Upon seeing the Gman squad, the big cameraman immediately aims at them, but one of the hybrids says, "Why is bro aiming at me? Is he stupid?" and looks at the hybrid with glasses, who in turn says, "We saved saved your life. Next, the pumped-up hybrid John intervenes in their conversation and says, "Relax, we're not here to hurt you. It's time for us to be friends, officially." But the cameraman doesn't believe him and shows the toilet the appropriate sign. He continues his monologue with, "That's not a request." Next, they are attacked by 3 more Astro toilets, this time 1 disruptor and 2 regular Astros. The entire squad targets them, including the Chills and Cameraman. Next, the improved DJ from the Distant Series 6 appears on the battlefield, but the last time he just appeared in episode 74, as well as the entire G-Squad. In this shot, you can take a closer look at all his improvements. With the help of speaker technology, the toilet manages to throw the Astro toilet a few meters away from itself, and then the Astro destroyer intercepts the hybrid toilet along with a cameraman scientist on a spider. Together, they deprive this toilet of the ability to fly and continue to kill it on the ground. But then Michael Toilet appears and already kills this Astro toilet with the help of his improved swords. At this point, the entire Gman squad is assembled, and apparently they will be joined by a large cameraman and a scientist on a spider. And that's when you can hear the stake streamer screaming. There's a detail you can see in this shot. The thing is that there is a very noticeable gluing of frames. DJ Toilet, very worried about cameraman's response. The cameraman, with difficulty, but still gives his consent to the alliance between the squad. After a positive answer, the hybrid toilet, with a sinister smile, says, "Let's go." The second part starts from the moment when all the key characters were in the same place. The action is recorded in the same way on behalf of the big cameraman. After the agent's barking, the first part ends and the second part begins. But it should be clarified that this time we know how the second part will start, because this time Dafuk Boom first showed us a leak video, not a frame. On this 10 seconds video, we had a chance to see what will be in the second part, and as we can see, Dafuk Boom did not change anything and left everything that was on the leak video. And just at this point, we can say we already see the continuation of the first part of episode 77. Here you can see a hybrid toilet policeman fighting 4 Astro toilets alone, but unfortunately, his improved weapon doesn't help him. If you zoom in on the shot, you can see the cop losing some of his gear on his back. Seeing all this, the big cameraman comes to his rescue and protects him from the Astro toilet with a powerful shot from his weapon. But since there were many toilets, one of them keeps attacking the hybrid toilet. But this Astro toilet was also eliminated by the big cameraman, not as fast as the first one, but still it was destroyed too. Next, 3 more Astro toilets come to the rescue. And for the first time, we notice such a professional trick from the hybrid toilet. He uses the sickle as a boomerang and destroys all the Astros in one blow. This is the first time we've seen such a spectacular move from this hybrid toilet. Most likely it was improvised, because his satisfied smile shows it. By the way, about him and the G unit, I'll tell you something at the end of the video. Now let's take a closer look at the uniform, or more specifically, the chevron of this John. On the shoulders it says police, as well as an identifying badge. This detail will come in handy for us in a few seconds. Then the Skibidi Toilet leaves this place, and by the way, look at this detail. He is missing 2 rockets on his back, as he dropped them at the beginning because of the Astro toilet's attack. Next, during takeoff, the hybrid toilet drops some kind of picture from his pocket. The cameraman notices this and approaches to get a close-up look at this photo. And as the cameraman gets closer, we notice a small squad of 6 police officers. And that's where one of the most interesting parts of the second part of episode 77 comes into play. Let's take a closer look at this image. I think everyone has already guessed that in the center poses the hybrid toilet itself, of course, before it was a toilet. The photo was captured a long time ago, namely in 1986. Please remember that number too, as we'll come back to it at the end. The shooting location was the parking lot of the Alpha Hills base. It's a base we've all known for a long time. And finally, this photo was taken by the Special Government Protection Unit. As we can see, this unit was supposed to be guarding this facility. In general, it seems to me that they were not allowed to take this photo because they were in the area of a restricted facility. But the photo was taken on purpose, that is not hidden, as all the guards are posing for the photographer. We have no information about the photographer, but if it were not for this photo, then perhaps no one from Skibidi Toilets would have known about this base, and therefore they would not have been infected. But that's not the most interesting thing about this image. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first let's talk about the time of the picture. It's 1986, 7 years after this photo of of the secret agent. So Defuk has been doing his admin duties for 7 years, because he was also at the time of the photo shoot. As we can see, here he is talking to one of the police officers, and next to him is a scientist from the Alpha Hills lab. And it seems to me that this scientist is this one, because he is the only one without glasses and similar hairstyle. And notice the secret agent is looking at the photographer, and it feels like he didn't want him in the shot. But that's not the most interesting thing. The thing is that this image belongs to a hybrid toilet, and the weirdest thing is that he drew an arrow near a secret agent and signed it with a question mark. So what could this possibly mean? For me, I've highlighted 2 possibilities so far, but in time, I think we'll know the right one. Either he sees him here for the first time, which is not very logical, since the secret agent worked in Alpha Hills with them for 7 years. Or this policeman already had some doubts about the secret agent, and so he decided to single him out in order to find out more information about him. It makes sense. He's a cop, and apparently the chief of surveillance. If that's the case, he's the most responsible for this facility. Doubting someone should be the norm for him, and I think the hybrids got the secret agent tag for a reason. I even have an idea that the secret agent has something to do with the creation of Skibidi virus. If you are interested in this topic, let's get 300 likes and I will try to make a video about it. I think that in the future we will find out more information about this moment, but now let's move on. In the next scene, we see an Astro Destroyer that is alone for some reason. Usually they come with a squad. And opposing the Astro will be an improved DJ Toilet. He counter-strikes the Astro Toilet with his lasers, which resemble Gman's lasers. Astro Toilet receives insignificant damage, as the technology Skibidi Toilets are weaker than Astro, so the Destroyer and did not feel anything. And when the Astro fired another shot, this time, the DJ Toilet intercepted these shots with its speakers. With the strong sound of Skibidi, the toilet was able to contain all of Astro's projectiles, and in doing so, he was able to direct all of the projectiles back towards Astro Toilet. Astro, and before the battle with DJ, was badly wounded, and after the damage from his shells was already in critical condition, but still he is killed by the camera spider, but behind the scenes, as such shots belong to him, and the shell is too big. Next, we notice another Astro Toilet, but already with some defenses. With him, we'll deal with the legendary big cameraman in red, whose name is Fred. Why Fred, you ask? The thing is that after the release of the second part of the 77th episode, Defuk Boom published 4 frames, where he wrote the official names of all agents. Yes, this cameraman has a glowing lens, but it's not the cameraman from episode 76 because he has a red shirt. Who is he? Is he a new character? No. We first saw him in episode 31, when Skibidi Toilets dominated because they were able to create parasites, and after his first appearance, the big cameraman was immediately infected with the parasite. But 3 episodes later, in episode 34, he was able to be cured and he was back in action because the parasite had been eliminated from him. But of course, this is not the whole story of the big cameraman. This agent is one of the first warriors. He has been doing battle with the toilets for a very long time, as he even appeared in the memories of Cameraman in episode 73, that is in episode 14. Further, as we can see, after the infection, the cameramen put him in quarantine, where they most likely experimented on him and came up with different improvements for him, because in an additional scene in episode 70, he was present and even showed the likes, which hints you to put likes on the video too. After episode 70, we noticed him in another extra scene, namely in episode 76. There, he threw some object on the Titan's TV man and further showed an obscene gesture to the TV man. And he did this because the TV man had lost their conscience, and instead of teleporting wounded agents to safety, they were teleporting Astro Toilet technology. But at the end, the TV man promised that they would regret it, which threatened Fred's life because he threw an object at him and further humiliated the TV man. As we can see, Fred has been improving all this time. And not alone. He improved together with the camera woman, because you could see the camera woman in this scene, and this is what he looks like at the moment. Let's take a closer look at all of his improvements. His weapons are a huge double-barreled shotgun, as well as a sword saw. On his back, he has 2 turbines, which allows him to fly. He also has 2 additional cameras on his shoulders. Plus, he now has a new arm that can pull enemies to him to kill them. And on his right arm, he can activate a shield. And now you can see what he can do. As we can see, his shield can withstand all the Astro shots, and he was even able to attack with that shield. Next, he uses his sword saw and simply destroys the Astro Toilets with 3 swings. After that, he is spotted by 4 more small Astro Toilets. But then I noticed a gaffe. The thing is that this toilet was white, but when it comes a little closer, it becomes black because he appears to have lower armor. This is where you can see how Fred's left-hand technology works. As I said earlier, he draws opponents to him and kills them like Cameraman Titan did in episode 51. Some even think Fred is a small version of Cameraman Titan. Next, Cameraman uses his shotgun and tries to destroy the Astros, but he's not very good at it, and so an army of improved cameramen comes to his aid, and as Dayfuk wrote, Cameraman 3.0. That's why now all the cameramen are glowing blue. They're just all improved to resist the Astro toilets. And behind the army of agents, you could spot the DJ toilet, Michael Skibidi Jackson, and the hybrid toilet. They are still here and helping the agents. Next, another armored Astro toilet arrives, but it is not Fred who fights it, but plungers. With the help of plungers managed to remove the helmet of the Astro toilet. Yes, these are improved plungers. And since now this weapon is used by Camera Woman, they are here, but in an improved form. Meet Plunger Woman. Yes, that's right, because the Dayfuk himself wrote her new name on the posters. By the way, we knew in advance that she will be improved and will look like this, because Dayfuk recently secretly gave out models in Roblox game to one YouTuber, and we spomo trudnosti these models found out how she will look like. There were a few more models. At this point, you can take a closer look at all her improvements. As we can see, she has a protection on her head, as well as she received 4 guns on her back, well, and clothes completely changed before she looked like a normal cameraman. And here begins the most interesting thing. The thing is that when Plunger Woman reaches out a helping hand, after that, the operator gets interference and sees Plunger Woman in the image of Kathy. The thing is that the Camera Woman, i.e. Plunger Woman, was created in Kathy's image, as she personally participated in its creation. And the first inclusion of the Camera Woman was in 1985. And by the way, and that picture was taken a year later. So the secret agent was also present at that moment, but behind the scenes, and no one knows what he was doing there. Yes, we know that he was the new administrator in Alpha Hills, but that's what all his colleagues thought. But what he was really doing, no one knows. If you want to see a separate video about it, then let's get a lot of likes. And this video will be on the channel, unless of course the secret agent will not notice this video and delete it. After Plunger Woman says one phrase to the operator, but it's likely that phrase is for the entire alliance. She says, "Together until the end," which shows how strong and dedicated an agent she is. But Plunger Woman didn't actually say anything like that. I think it was some kind of flashback. What if Kathy and the other people who were developing the cameramen were fighting against the Skibidi toilets together? And just like that, this moment was from a battlefield in, like, 1989. And logically, the big cameraman, which is where the action is coming from, was fighting with Kate, and he just remembered this moment. Here is another proof. In the cameraman's memories, Kate has a small wound, which indicates that she fought with someone. And by the way, cameramen can't talk, except Cameraman Titan. There is even a theory that he supposedly was able to talk after he got the technology of Astro toilets. This, by the way, can be verified once he swaps his arm for another weapon. And so, the theories that the agents are human and that she's removed the defenses immediately fall away. And after Plunger Woman helps the big cameraman up, and already from here we see the continuation of that episode. Immediately, we notice a huge number of Astro toilets, namely 7 pieces. One of the shells explodes near the cameraman, so the recording is interrupted for a few seconds. Well, here we notice the whole G-unit and cameramen headed by Plunger Woman. And here, if you look more carefully, you can notice a small gluing of frames. Most likely Dayfuk Boom made this moment before the rest of the fragments. I think it was animated in the second part, and after a small break, the third part starts from this moment. And you know what else I was thinking? What if Dayfuk Boom already has some kind of team, and they decided to combine the 2 animations in this way? Next, an Astro Destroyer arrives on the scene and destroys everything in its path. In this shot, we see the Camera Woman and Fred. After she activated the mode of aggression, for the first time we learned about this mode from the 49th episode, when we first learned about the existence of Camera Woman. If earlier this mode activated a powerful cannon from under the helmet, now this cannon in the form of a huge drone. This projectile is very large, like the cannon itself, as well as the projectile is homing and is able to follow enemies at great distances. And as we can see, the very Astro Destroyer was destroyed with the help of this cannon. cameraman. But the Astro is not completely destroyed, so Michael Skibidi Jackson Toilet comes to finish this toilet, and he does finish it off. After what he saw, the big cameraman shows the gesture of liking, which means that it's already time for you to put a liking on this video too, since everything is behind us. But that's not how this huge Astro Toilet from the leak footage thinks. His eyes are red not because of the computer, but because he's an Astro Toilet. And while he had a heated shell, Fred and Camerawoman managed to retreat from the place. But the cameraman was a little unlucky because this projectile hit him. As we can see, the shockwave hit all the agents who were here. The cameraman lost his right arm and the camerawoman got a slight burn, but luckily she got over it quickly. And when camerawoman grabbed her plungers to fight this huge Astro Toilet from the puzzle spoiler, there was a Plunger Man reference, specifically a reference to episode 50, when Plungerman tried to single-handedly attack the toilets that were several times bigger than him. She still had a better chance than the Plunger Woman, because remember what it looked like. An ordinary cameraman without any upgrades, and of the weapons only 2 plungers, trying to destroy huge Skibidi toilets. In this same situation, the cameraman is sufficiently upgraded for this fight, and besides, at this moment, except for this Astro Toilet, there was no one in her way, so she could have a one-on-one battle. So at this point, the Astro Toilet is laughing at Camerawoman, but she is already set for this fight, and so she activates additional weapons, namely the 4 cannons from behind, and don't forget about her aggression mode, which is already improved and does devastating damage to anyone. And just when Camerawoman is about to attack, she is stopped at the last moment by TVMAN. Her screen shows that she is puzzled by the Camerawoman and finds her act inappropriate. We also notice some changes on her, immediately noticing her belt, as well as some device on her back. We will talk about these improvements very soon. Next, TVMAN teleports Cameraman from the battlefield, and on the right side of the battlefield, we notice G-Unit, as well as some cameramen from the second part, as well as Cameraman Scientist inside the Spider Strider. The G-Squad is not at its best, so a big TV man appears, and in the tradition of TV mans, he insults them saying, "Inadequates,
What are you doing here? Go away."
Actually, the big TV man says this because he doesn't want this troop to die here, as there are already a lot of Astro Toilets in this place. And as you may have noticed during the TV man's monologue, he has a new device on his back, and it looks like the sword of one of the Decepticons from the movie Transformers. As we can see, he now has a claw on his back from the Astro Toilets, and more specifically from the Astro Scorpion. The thing is, when the Scorpion lost the battle with G-Man, he dropped a lot of parts off his back. And after the battle, the big TV man, along with the TV scientist, picked up a few parts, including the Astro Toilet claw. And all this time, from episode 72 to here, the TV mans have been developing these technologies. And now we see that the big TV man has 2 claws in the back that have an Astro Scorpion effect, meaning the big TV man can use any projectile against those who fired them. And here is a demonstration of the ability. One of the Astros unleashed a large shot on the Alliance, and look what the TV man did. He simply took and split that energy projectile into 2 projectiles, and further already sent 2 counterstrikes back. And along with this counterstrike, he said,
"Now it's my turn."
The big Astro Toilet certainly didn't like this pathos, so he decided to stop the battle at a distance and started approaching the squad, destroying everything in his path. He almost crushed the operator, but fortunately, at the last moment, he used the turbines to take off. He starts shooting at the squad, and then a TVMAN Titan appears from somewhere with a teleport, saving all the agents who are here. And then he says, "Someone's gonna die, and it's not me." This phrase is actually a reference to the leak puzzle that we've been doing. Who hasn't watched this video, you can watch it by clicking on the top right corner. So the text in this spoiler belonged to TVMAN Titan. Also, if we look in the description under this episode, we see that it says, "The cameramen face real problems," and then someone comes to the rescue. So this means TVMAN Titan, as he saves all the wounded cameramen, as well as the G-Team. This big Astro Toilet continues its attack, but now it attacks TVMAN Titan, but he easily repels all the projectiles with his sword and then fires with his core. But for a big Astro Toilet like this, such shots are ridiculous. So he starts to attack Titan's TVMAN right away and then starts to use his mouth to break one of Titan's screens. But the TVMAN hits him right in the center of the Astro Toilet's core, and after that, the Astro's energy is immediately gone. The TV Man continues to strike, but now in the head, and when the Astro Toilet falls to the ground, he activates his head defense, but it doesn't save him, as TV Man Titan kills him. Then someone shoots at him, causing the Titan to lose another screen, and as it turns out, it was another big Astro Toilet, but already in the drill. I could be wrong, but in the background just flew an egg, and it tried to destroy this toilet, but it was hit. I have one big theory about this. I think it has something to do with balls. If we get 777 likes on this video, I will share all the information with you, and there, as you know, will be an exclusive. Then as we can see, this Astro has 4 legs, with which he was able to jump on the head of the TV Man Titan. And here is a very strange detail. Please look at the TV Man Titan's screen. At this point, his screen is very badly cracked, but after a few seconds, his screen recovers. There are 2 possibilities here. Either Titan has the ability to recover, or it's a gaffe by Defuk and just a poor choice of angle, or the joining of 2 animations. Next, the Titan throws the toilet to the ground and finishes it off with his sword and core. Normally, he sets fire with his screen instead of his core, but since the screen was cracked, the TV Man couldn't use it. Next, the TV Man Titan turns to the remaining wounded agents and says, "Your Titan would not want you to die needlessly. Get out. Leave while you still can." Next, another Astro Toilet arrives at the TV Man, but in medium size. This is the first time we notice that the Titan TV Man also has a defense field on his arm. The TV Man is too slow for this toilet, and seeing this, the Astro transforms into its special position for fast attack and starts throwing a lot of punches at the Titan. The last blow was purposely to the legs to make the Titan fall over. TV Man mocks him by saying that he is too slow, and the Astro Toilet starts destroying the Titan even harder. And if it wasn't for Fred's shot, at this point, there would be nothing left of the Titan. As we can see, everyone is gone, but except Fred. And in fact, it was the cameraman who saved the TV Man. And you're probably thinking Fred's dead, but he's not. If we zoom in, we can see that when Fred fell to the ground, his lens continued to glow, indicating that his energy was still intact. Seeing all this, the TV Man rises to his feet and just destroys this Astro Toilet into small pieces. Next, he takes off his helmet and just finishes him off with his hands. TV Woman and Big TV Man teleported back to the same spot. The big one turns to the Titan and says,
"You did good, bro."
And then the elite TV Man appears and says that they teleported everyone to the base, and then offers the Titan to get away from here, calling him Big Brother. As we can see, such improved blades have both TV Man and Elite TV Man. But suddenly, the very same squad I talked about in the analysis video about the leak puzzle appears. Titan has barely dealt with those Astro Toilets, and now he's got 3 more coming in, and when he sees them, he says, "Pathetic trash?" Then he adds, "Give me someone worthy of a fight." And it's probably a Kung Fu Panda reference. And then the Astro Juggernaut comes in and says,
"You're not running away this time."
And that concludes part 3 of episode 77. The episode picks up right from the end of part 3 of episode 77, where Titan TV Man immediately tries to teleport. Funny enough, before part 4 came out, Dafuk Boom teased fans saying he had a plan, but it's kind of weird that the plan was just run away. We'll come back to that though. Naturally, the Juggernaut didn't just let him go and managed to strike, interrupting the teleport. After a couple of solid hits, they ended up grappling, which, by the way, is the shot used in the episode's preview. It's likely a nod to the popular meme of 2 guys fighting while holding hands. After that, the Juggernaut delivered another impressive series of hits. What stood out was a double punch with the same hand, achieved by spinning rapidly around his axis. This sent Titan TV Man flying toward a nearby mountain, and the Juggernaut, calling him pathetic, fired his cannon. But then Titan TV Man decided to show off his secret weapon, a powerful Astro Claw hidden on his back. Not only did he manage to catch the blast, but he hurled it right back. His satisfied expression and a cheeky surprise left the Juggernaut stunned. Realizing this guy was no joke, Juggernaut quickly activated his shield. The impact was so powerful that the screen filled with static for a few seconds, and the Juggernaut was thrown back. If we look back at episode 72, where Speaker Titan was also thrown by a blast wave without even touching a bomb, it's clear that Juggernaut's weapon packs some serious power. So, Titan TV Man decided to go for his signature super jump attack on the Juggernaut. We saw him use this move a lot in episode 73, But back then, it seemed pretty ineffective and kinda dumb. This time, he's clearly learned a thing or two and, like a subway pickpocket, sneakily swiped the Juggernaut's weapon right off him. The Juggernaut didn't notice right away and was just about to fire, only to realize he was now holding an enormous purple sword. At this point, he knew he was screwed as the blast shot back from Titan TVMAN. By the way, this scene reminded me a lot of Avengers Endgame, in the final fight when Iron Man lunges at Thanos, gets thrown back, and Thanos is ready to snap, only to find the Infinity Stones have somehow made their way onto Iron Man's hand. Boom didn't show the full weapon connection process, but I suspect the TV men have the ability to swap weapons without enhancements or losing their primary arm. Remember the TV man from episode 56 who transformed his arm into blades? Or the TV woman at the end of episode 73 who also managed to replace her hands with something else? After this move, the Juggernaut says to TV Man, "You dare use my weapon against me?" And TV Man responds, "Gonna cry?" The Juggernaut pretends to walk away, and TV Man is already ready to leave, calling him a coward. But then the Juggernaut speeds in from behind. It turns out TV Man's whole plan was to kill the Juggernaut using his own weapon. But Juggernaut was 2 steps ahead and came up with a clever counter. By this time, the Juggernaut had already broken Titan TV Man's left claws and Astro Claw, and after saying, "surrender," he even tore off the weapon. He then symbolically used the same move TV Man had started with, grabbing his own sword and plunging it into the main TV screen. Then, taking things up a notch, he ripped the entire TV off, held it in his hand, and addressed the POV cameraman, saying, "And this is your strongest soldier?" Suddenly, the Titan gets back up and stabs the Juggernaut in the eye. Take note that he didn't have a single working TV at this point. Even the small one had been broken before the fight, and the side TVs were already gone. This suggests that the brain part of his system is somewhere else entirely. Honestly, placing the core system somewhere unexpected makes perfect sense, so the enemy can't figure out where to strike right away. Now I'm nervous about where the TV man scientist decided to hide it. Anyway, let's move on. In the end, the Juggernaut easily subdues the poor Titan again, telling him not to bother standing up as resistance is futile. In the background, we suddenly see an Astro fighter crashing down. Then 2 more fighters appear, and when the camera pans to the right, we're shown an army of Skibidi Toilets, led by the G Squad. Apart from the Skibidi Cat and the earlier YouTuber reference, there's also a ton of Striders and different hybrids. Of course, the DJ isn't missing out either. We also see the Rambo Skibidi mutant with a megaphone. It's hard to tell what he's yelling, but with my 1000 IQ, I could read his lips. He's saying,
Skibidi Toilets, assemble!
Then things get wild. Even the Skibidi scientist joins the battle. Of course, the real one is long dead. This is just his mech suit from episode 67. However, the new scientist Kleiner has clearly done a good job restoring it, and I think he's the one piloting the suit, actually. And I'm not the only one with that theory. One of my subscribers made the same suggestion in the comments. Remember how Titan TV Man used to create a hole in his face with his core? Looks like the Skibidi Toilets didn't bother making a new face and just stuck a laser weapon in the hole. This trend is getting disturbing. In episode 76, we saw a cannon in the mouth. In episode 77, a laser in the head. In episode 78, what's next? A machine gun in his This new scientist is just a perv. All right, jokes aside, let's move on. The Juggernaut sees all this and says, "This changes nothing," before hitting TV Man again and telling him he'll soon meet a fate worse than death. My guess is he's hinting at the death of everyone the TV Man cares about. Out of nowhere, Gman appears behind him. What's interesting is that he keeps fading in and out, as if he can go invisible, or maybe it's just Boom's editing style, like when Kathy's face briefly appeared in part 2 of episode 77. But if he really does have this ability, then it looks like the secret agent helped him out, since only certain cameramen showed this skill in episode 70. With "Miss me?" G-Man kinda greets an old friend, following up with a direct, "Hey, old buddy," and Juggernaut actually calls him Commander, reminding us of G-Man's Astro past. At this point, the Titan TV man, who apparently can't see due to the lack of TVs, asks, "Who's yapping?" He might think Gman's talking about him as the old friend, or maybe he's just surprised they even know each other. On the other hand, if you look closely at Gman's eyes, it seems like he's gesturing toward Titan TVMAN. So it turns out that old buddy line was actually meant for him, not the Juggernaut. Then the Juggernaut says something really interesting. Duke won't forgive your betrayal. We know the Astro Woman's official name is Duchess, so this implies Duke is her husband, meaning the top Astro Toilet is actually him. This changes our understanding of the Astro Toilets and their hierarchy a lot. Maybe I'll make a separate, detailed video on this in the future. After all that classic villain phrasing, you'll never defeat our army. And right then, two floating lasers appear behind him, which turn out to be Gman's arms. And as I mentioned at the start, he responds with the legendary line from Dafuk Boom's old animation, "I don't remember asking." After the verbal showdown, they get into a fist fight, and the Juggernaut is shocked at how much weaker Gman is now, saying, "You used to be stronger," referring to his time as commander of the Astro Toilets. Gman mocks him, flips him off, and makes a dramatic exit. Juggernaut, being a hothead, accepts the fight though. Honestly, I'd have backed out knowing how crafty Gman is. After they leave, an Astro transporter arrives and gives us a menacing stare. And here's that changed moment from previous installments. Dafuk Boom added flying drones with cameras. They're needed so viewers can see locations around the world. When TVMAN Titan went into teleportation, he appeared at the TVMAN base. Seeing TVMAN Titan Nav in this appearance, the scientist says to him, "Look at you, why did you come back?" To which the Titan says,
You need important samples. I brought you samples.
The Titan brings the Juggernaut's weapon to the base, but he acquired the weapon spontaneously. Next, the scientist says with a frightened look, "Why, the gate, it won't close." Next, we see that all this time, the Astro UFO had the teleportation gate under his control and was waiting for the rest of the Astro Toilets to arrive. Next, the Astro Duchess appears in her hybrid form and turns to the Titan with the words, "Where are you going to go, stupid?" She then activates her tentacles and tries to find the Titan with them. And unfortunately, she succeeds. Titan Cameraman is unable to move. Because of this, well, eventually the Titan was completely captured and dragged to another location. Taking advantage of the moment, a few Astro Toilets were able to get inside the TVMAN base. Upon seeing all this, the elite TVMAN will immediately attack the Astro Toilets, followed by the big TVMAN. Then it turns out that the Astro Toilets had tracking sensors on them. Then the Astro Toilets immediately found their base and instantly destroyed it. But luckily, the TVMAN had an evacuation plan and teleported everything out of the base. Then we see the memories of a scientist TVMAN when his mind was not artificial. We also notice a frame that shows the TVMAN with a man who looks like a secret agent. We see that the scientist is very sad. Next, we see the TVMAN Titan captured by Astro Toilets. Astro Duchess beats the Titan saying, "How's that pain?" The Titan says, "Pain," pretending he's not in pain. Then the Astro UFO appears and says, "This is just the beginning." Then some kind of mind hijacking device, analogous to parasites, appears and takes over the Titan's core, after which the Astro UFO says, "Serve your new master, guardian of fate." And on that sad note, episode 77 ends.